So you land in a new country. You memorize how to say hello.
Right.
You learn how to ask, where's the bathroom? You practice ordering a coffee. And, well, congratulations, you can now survive in a new language.
You can get through the front door.
Exactly. You get through the door. But surviving is not the same as actually living. I mean, to
Oh.
build a home, to make real friends, to truly connect with people, you need to be able to explain what's happening inside your mind. You have to talk about your feelings.
And that's often the absolute most intimidating step for any adult learning a new language.
Oh, for sure.
Because you already know your feelings are complex. Translating that complexity into brand new vocabulary can feel, well, incredibly vulnerable. You're stepping away from those memorized survival phrases and stepping into real, unscripted human connection.
Welcome to our deep dive on Tim's English channel. Today, we're exploring exactly how to talk about your emotions in English.
Yes, let's get right into it.
And because this deep dive is specially designed for English learners, we are taking our time today. We'll speak clearly, we'll keep the vocabulary accessible, and we'll focus on the structure. But look, we are not going to treat you like a child.
Definitely not.
We want to look deeply at the actual mechanics of the English language. We want you to understand exactly why native speakers use the words they do.
Which is really the fastest way to truly master a language. I mean,
No.
we aren't just going to give you a list of words to memorize. We'll look at the grammar that holds those words, the
Right.
hidden traps that confuse beginners, and, the psychology behind how English speakers express themselves.
So let's start right at the foundation. Before we can even touch words like happy or sad, we
Yeah.
need a container to hold them.
Right. The basic formula.
Yeah. In English, there are really two primary formulas we use to state an emotion. We say I am followed by the feeling, or we say I feel followed by the feeling.
And immediately, this brings up a massive point of confusion for learners.
Really? How so?
Well, you might look at a textbook and see both options side by side. Like, I am tired and I feel tired. So for a beginner, the question is always, which one is actually correct?
I assume they're both correct, but they must have a slightly different flavor to them, right? Language is rarely perfectly redundant.
Right.
Why would we invent two totally different ways to say the exact same thing?
You're absolutely right. There is a nuance here. It basically comes down to psychological distance. When you say I feel, you're usually describing the immediate present.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like a wave washing over you. Right at this exact second, my body is experiencing this sensation. But when you say I am, it can mean right now, or it can describe a much more permanent state of being. It kind of identifies you with the emotion.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I am sounds more solid, almost like it's part of your identity in that moment.
Exactly.
Whereas I feel separates you from the emotion just a little bit. It's something happening to you, not necessarily who you are.
Perfectly said. And here's the most important takeaway for anyone listening right now. If you're at the beginning of your English journey, do not let this tiny nuance stop you from speaking.
Yeah, don't freeze up over it.
Exactly. Both options are perfectly natural. No native speaker will ever look at you strangely if you swap them. The goal here is connection, not perfection.
I love that. The goal is connection. Keep it simple. So we have our sentence starters, I am, or I feel. Now we need the vocabulary to fill them.
Let's do it.
Let's focus on what our sources call the big three: happy, sad, and angry. And I don't just want to list these words, I want to look at how we connect them to real life.
Right, because just saying, I am happy, kind of stops the conversation in its tracks.
It really does. It's a closed loop.
Mhm.
If you want to build a real conversation, you have to introduce the most important word in emotional fluency, which is because.
Because, yeah, this is the secret key.
If you attach an emotion word to because, you instantly give the other person a story. Let's look at happy. This is our baseline positive emotion. It's bright, it makes you smile, but saying, I am happy is just stating a fact.
Right, it doesn't give me anything to respond to.
Exactly. But saying, I am happy because the sun is shining today after a whole week of rain, now that is a conversation starter.
Notice what's happening mechanically there, too. You give the state of being, I am happy, and then you give the trigger because the sun is shining. You're literally inviting the listener into your world.
Yeah. Let's contrast that with the opposite emotion, which is sad. Sadness is heavy. It pulls your energy down. Again, we could just say, I feel sad.
But that really doesn't help a friend understand what's going on with us.
Right. Instead, we use our structure. So, for example, I feel sad because my good friend is moving away to a new city.
And culturally, it is really important to note that sharing sadness in English-speaking cultures is becoming much more acceptable, even encouraged.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, you don't always have to put on a brave face. Telling a colleague, I am feeling sad today because I received some bad news, is a perfectly professional and honestly human way to communicate. It builds trust.
Totally. Then we have the third primary emotion, which is angry. This is a really high energy emotion. Your face gets hot, your heart rate goes up. It's the feeling of injustice or like extreme frustration.
Anger is fascinating. It's usually a secondary emotion. It's a reaction to something else happening. And that is exactly why the because structure is so vital here.
I see where you're going with this.
If you just walk into a room and loudly say, I am angry, people will literally back away from you.
Right. Because they feel threatened. You sound like
E-
a dangerous person.
Exactly. But if you say, I am angry because I was stuck in traffic for 2 hours, you instantly defuse the threat. People understand the context right away.
They'll probably even say, oh, I hate that too. The traffic around here is just terrible.
Yes. You just turned a negative, scary feeling into a genuine moment of connection. You gave them the why.
So those are the big three: happy, sad, and angry. They cover a huge spectrum of human experience. But our day-to-day lives are usually filled with smaller, more specific feelings, right?
They are. Our sources actually refer to these as the daily three.
The daily three. Okay, these are tired, scared, and nervous. Let's start with tired, because honestly, this is probably the most common feeling adults experience worldwide.
Without a doubt.
Tired is deeply physical. It just means your body requires rest.
Right. So you'd say, I am tired because I worked a 12-hour shift. Or, I feel tired because I woke up very early this morning. It's a highly functional emotion word.
But the next two words in our daily list seem to cause a lot of friction for English learners: scared and nervous. I remember struggling with concepts like this when I was studying another language.
Oh, they look so similar in a dictionary.
They really do.
Yeah.
Can we explore the actual difference between being scared and being nervous?
It's a great question. The difference really lies in the level of the threat and where that threat is coming from. Scared is about genuine fear and danger. Your brain literally believes something bad is going to happen to your physical safety.
Okay, so if I'm walking in the woods and a massive bear steps out onto the path, I am scared.
Exactly. Or, a sudden loud noise in the dark. Your primal instincts take over. You are scared.
Right.
Nervous, on the other hand, is a much smaller, more modern emotion. It isn't about physical danger at all. It's about social or performance anxiety. It's that feeling of anticipation when you really want a situation to go well.
Ah, okay. So if I'm about to take a very important English speaking test, my life is not in danger. The examiner isn't going to physically attack me.
Hopefully not.
Right. But my hands might shake, my stomach feels strange, maybe my mouth gets dry. That is nervous.
Yes. You are nervous because you care about the outcome. You're about to step into a job interview. You are nervous. You're about to speak a new language to a native speaker. You are nervous.
And if you use the word scared in those situations, it sounds very confusing to a native English speaker. Like if you walk into a cafe and tell the barista, I am scared to order a coffee, they might think there's a dangerous person waiting outside the shop.
Exactly. You want to say, I am a little nervous because I'm still learning English. If you say that, I promise you the person you're talking to will immediately smile and try to help you.
It's very endearing.
It's a very endearing thing to admit.
Notice the little extra word you just slipped in there, by the way. You didn't just say, I am nervous. You said, I am a little nervous.
Ah, yes.
This brings us to a really crucial part of speaking naturally. Emotions aren't just on or off. They're not light switches. They're more like volume dials on a stereo.
That is a perfect way to look at it. We use modifier words to turn the volume of our emotions up or down. And this adds tremendous color and precision to your language.
Let's look at how to turn the volume down first. If an emotion is present, but it's very small, we use the phrase a little.
A little. Let's apply this to the feeling of being tired. If you say, I am tired, it might mean you need to go to sleep right now. But if you say, I am a little tired, you're turning the volume down.
Right. It means I'm maybe at like 80% energy. I don't need to go to bed this exact minute. I can still sit here and talk with you. I might just need a cup of coffee. I am a little tired.
It gives the listener highly specific information about your current state.
And how do we turn the volume up?
We use the words very or so.
Let's use our baseline emotion again, happy. I am happy is a nice, steady state. But if I turn the dial all the way up, I say, I am so happy. The energy changes entirely. You can almost hear the exclamation mark at the end of the sentence.
I am so happy because I finally passed my exam. Or, returning to anger, I am very angry because someone stole my bicycle.
Yeah, that makes sense.
These modifiers, a little, very, and so, are incredibly simple, but they immediately make a beginner sound fluent. It shows you have control over the language rather than the language having control over you.
I want to pivot to something really fascinating that was brought up in our sources. Even when learners know the vocabulary and they know the modifiers, they often fall into two massive structural traps.
Oh, yes. The traps.
And the first trap is deeply tied to how different languages view the world. It's the I have mistake.
This is a beautiful linguistic puzzle. Many learners come to English from Romance languages like Spanish, French, or Italian, or from certain Germanic languages. In those languages, the grammatical structure treats an emotion or a physical state as a possession.
Like it's something you acquire.
Exacto.
Right? Literally translating to something like, I have hunger or I have fear. You're holding the emotion, almost like you're holding an object in a backpack.
That's a great image. But the English language evolved differently. English treats emotions not as objects you carry around, but as the weather happening to your body.
The weather. I love
It's a state of existence. That's why we do not use the verb to have for our feelings.
So you cannot say, I have tired. It physically does not make sense in English. You're trying to put tired into a backpack, but tired is the weather. You must use our golden rule from the beginning of the deep dive. You have to say, I am tired, or I feel tired.
And understanding that why makes the grammar rule actually stick in your brain. You aren't possessing the feeling, you are embodying it.
Right.
But there is a second trap, and this one is arguably much more dangerous because it can lead to some very funny but very embarrassing misunderstandings.
Oh boy.
It is the trap of bored versus boring.
Yes, the classic ed versus ing suffix trap. I want to try explaining this with an analogy. Tell me if this works. Think of the difference between a mirror and a movie projector.
Okay, I'm listening.
Words that end in ing, like boring, are the movie projector. They are putting the feeling out into the room. A boring movie projects sleepiness and dullness onto the audience.
Right.
Words that end in ed, like bored, are the mirror. They're receiving the feeling. They just reflect what is happening inside of you.
That is brilliant. The ing word is the source of the feeling. The ed word is the result.
And this is exactly why mixing them up is so dangerous. If you're sitting at a party and the party has no music and nobody is talking, you want to describe your internal feeling. You want to be the mirror. You should say, I am bored.
But if you accidentally use the projector word and you say out loud, I am boring,
Oh, no.
you are insulting yourself in front of everyone.
You are literally telling the room, I'm a person who projects dullness. I have a terrible personality, and I make other people want to go to sleep. You are calling yourself a boring person.
Which is the last thing you want to do when you're trying to make friends in a new language.
Exactly.
To avoid this, our sources offer a very clean, easy-to-remember anchor sentence. The movie is boring, so I am bored.
The movie is boring, so I am bored. I love that. The thing outside is the projector. It ends in ing. My feeling inside is the mirror. It ends in ed. If you memorize that single sentence, you will never fall into the second trap again.
Now that we have taken apart all the mechanics of these words, let's build something with them. Let's look at how all these pieces, the vocabulary, the modifiers, and the because structure come together in a natural, everyday conversation.
Right. So imagine two friends sitting down for coffee at the end of the day. One friend says, how are you doing today? The other friend replies, I am a little tired, but I feel good. I was so nervous last night because I had a big presentation for my boss this morning. But it went well.
Let's freeze right there and look at the architecture of what they just built. It's incredibly sophisticated, but they only used simple words. First, I am a little tired. They use the I am structure, the modifier a little, and the daily emotion tired.
Then they moved to the past tense. I was so nervous last night. They used the high volume modifier so, and they correctly chose nervous instead of scared because, well, it was a work presentation, not a bear attack.
Right. And then comes the magic word, because I had a good presentation. They delivered the emotion, sized it with a modifier, and gave the listener the story.
Let's look at the second friend's reply. The second friend says, I am glad your presentation went well. I actually feel very angry right now because my computer crashed and I lost all my documents.
Again, the structure is perfect, I feel, plus the volume dial, very, plus the primary emotion, angry, and then the bridge, because my computer crashed.
What I really love about this is that neither of these friends used complex university-level vocabulary. They didn't say, I am experiencing profound fatigue coupled with lingering professional anxiety.
No one talks like that.
Right. They used basic beginner words. But because they used the correct grammar, the right modifiers, and the because structure, they sounded completely fluent.
Fluency isn't about knowing the biggest words. Fluency is about arranging simple words in a way that allows another human being to understand your exact reality.
Wow, that's incredibly well said. We have covered so much ground in this deep dive. Let's quickly summarize our mission. Today, we moved past survival English and learned how to build a linguistic home. We learned to use I am and I feel as our foundation.
We explored the big three: happy, sad, angry, and the daily three: tired, scared, nervous.
We learned how to turn the volume of our feelings up and down using modifiers like a little, very, and so.
We avoided the I have possession trap, and we learned to never call ourselves boring by remembering the mirror and the projector.
But, listening to a deep dive is only half the battle. You have to actually use these tools.
Yeah.
So we have a concrete homework assignment for you. Every single morning this week when you wake up, I want you to ask yourself out loud in English, how do I feel today?
Speak the answer into the empty room. I feel a little tired because I stayed up late. I'm very happy because it is Friday. Speaking it out loud isn't just a mental exercise. It builds muscle memory in your mouth and your vocal cords. It literally trains your brain to start processing your reality in English.
Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with today. There's a concept in linguistics that suggests the language you speak actually shapes the way you see the world.
Oh, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, yeah.
Yeah. When you learn to express your emotions in a new language, you aren't just translating your old self into new words, you're actually building a slightly new version of yourself. You might find that the English version of you expresses anger differently, or maybe shares happiness more easily. Learning to talk about your feelings in English isn't just a vocabulary exercise. It's a way of expanding who you are.
That is a profound way to look at it. You are adding a new lens to your emotional camera.
Exactly. So we want to hear from that newly expanded version of you. It is time for our question of the day. We want you to practice exactly what we just learned.
The question is, how do you feel right now and why?
We want you to use the because structure in your answer. Send us your response down in the comments on the channel. Write, I feel a little nervous because it's my first time commenting. Or, I am happy because I understood this entire deep dive.
Whatever it is, write it down. It's the perfect safe space to practice your new tools.
We read every single comment on Tim's English channel, and we absolutely love seeing your progress. Thank you so much for exploring the mechanics of language with us today. Remember that mastering a language is a marathon, not a sprint. Take your time, forgive yourself for making mistakes, and keep using your words to build connection.
Keep practicing, and don't be afraid to share your story.
We will see you on the next deep dive. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.